Hello, good evening. We are going to do the five love languages and then we're going to do attachment styles. Today we are doing emotional tanks or emotional tanks. I have an issue pronouncing that. British English is a tank, Tangkl. American is tank, so Tank. So hope you make sense of my deficiencies, my linguistic deficiencies. So we're going to use the book Five Love Languages primarily. You're doing part one. Part two might be the in love phase, and then you shall finish with the love languages themselves and loving the unlovable. Okay, so let's begin. Psychologists have concluded that the need to feel loved is a primary emotional need. For love, we'll climb mountains, cross seas, traverse desert sands, and endure untold hardships. Without love, mountains become unclimbable, seas uncrossable, deserts unbearable, and hardships our lot in life. Okay, so love being a primary emotional need, we have secondary emotional needs and we have primary emotional needs. So love is a primary emotion, the same way anger is a secondary emotion. If I vex you long enough, you're going to be angry. You're going to be angry at me. But love is not something you get secondarily because something was done towards you. Some love is something which is given or is received at the first. Okay. So love has made people do crazy things in the past. This can be the infatuation of love which we all know, or it can be the mature love. For mature love, a parent can do almost everything for their child, and for mature love, I think I've seen this with a sick relative. People are willing to spend as much time with them in the hospital bed, night and day, just staying there, even when they know it's a terminal disease where the prognosis is very poor, yet people stay. So for love, we will really do anything. We said previously that simping is trying to duress someone into loving you. Let's say somebody has no interest in you and you're trying to get them to love you by buying gifts, buying cars, buying food, buying clothes. That's that's simping. I got this jumper from my sister because she loves me. Then it's a gift for me. Surprisingly or apparently, receiving gifts is my number three love language with a percentage of 23. Yeah, yeah, 23. So the next paragraph says, child psychologists affirm that every child has certain basic emotional needs that must be met if he is to be emotionally stable. So emotional stability is predicated on receiving love in the early years of life. Among those emotional needs, none is more basic than the need for love and affection. Affection is affection is being, should I say, being doled, being doted upon. So none is more basic than the need to feel love and affection. They need to sense that he or she belongs and is wanted. There's a book I was listening to just right now, the book Attached by Amir Levine, Amir Levine and Rachel Heller. I think we'll do it after this series. And my best authors, so to speak, are the authors who are founders of their own sects, according to the words of Amazon, the essayist. So before Daniel Goleman, the term emotional intelligence was almost unknown, but after him, almost everybody uses the term emotional intelligence or emotional IQ. And then before Gary Chapman, emotional love tanks or love languages was rarely used. But after him, almost everybody uses love languages. And then before Ainsworth or Bowlby or Rachel Heller and Mary Levin for this case, nobody used attachment styles, but now almost everybody uses those. And as we said in the previous video, if you don't know your love language, just go online, Google for the 5 love language tests. It's a free quiz. I think it's about 5 minutes. Do it, know your love language. And the love language is not just the first one, it's all of them in that order. I think for me, affirmation is 37% at the time I did the test. And then quality time is 27, the other one is 23, and then the last two being 13 and 7%. Physical touch being my worst performing, but physical touch being my girlfriend's number one, and the others almost in the same order. And then if you don't know your attachment style, again, the same thing. Go online, do attachment style quiz or something like that. It's 2 minutes, I think, or 5 minutes. So we all have a desire to feel loved and to feel that you belong. The need for belonging is the attachment style, and the need for love is to be loved, basically. So I'll repeat that. Child psychologists affirm that every child has certain basic emotional needs that must be met if it's to be emotionally stable. Among those emotional needs, none is more basic than the need for love and affection. They need to sense that he or she belongs and is wanted. With an adequate supply of affection, the child will likely develop into a responsible adult. Without that love, he or she will be emotionally and socially challenged. For the most part, we usually say that criminals and people who do, should I say, criminal activities or nearly antisocial activities, for the most part, they usually found to have come from disturbed families. Of course, we say that's not destiny, that's not fate. It doesn't mean that if you grew up without a sense of belonging, then you are justified in meting out your vengeance on the world. There was a study by, I think this might come up in this series sometime in future, about child abusers and child molesters. When the question in the courts about whether they themselves were abused, they said yes in about 60% of the times. And when they use a lie detector or just from a searching book, the values reduced to 21%, 26%, and about 24%. So yeah, is that you have no right to do a wrong. Like Viktor Frank says, you have no right to commit a wrong act because a wrong act has been committed on you or to you. So as we said here, everybody has the need for love and affection. When that is sorted, when that is settled, or when it is settled in adequate amounts, then people are likely to venture. There is, in the book I mentioned earlier, there is the dependency paradox. We live in a culture which deifies independence. You should be independent. You should be happy by your own self. You should need no one. And needing people is actually termed as codependent or something like that. So when people find a secure base upon which to depend, and that's anybody you actually love or date or a parent or something, that's your secure base. So if that base is insecure, you're actually going to preoccupy yourself with the your source of love or your source of affection or your the person you're attached to, your attachee, if we can say. When your attachment style, when your attachment base is secure, then is when you're going to venture out into the world and do much more. But before that is secured, you're going to majorly preoccupy yourself with your relationship. So it's the paradox, the dependency paradox, where if you feel secure where you are, then now you can venture outside. I think the most famous test is the strange situation test, where if a child is left in a place where let's say a mother was inside, then they're left in a place to play with toys, they'll venture out as long as the mother is within. But as soon as they notice that the mother has left the room, they're going to cry, they're going to protest, they're going to hit everyone. But when the mother shows up again in the room, the child rushes to the mother, meets the mother, then goes back to play. So it's the same thing. When the person you love provides a secure base for you, then you can venture into your career, your education, and physical matters. But before that, again, nothing occurs. So for emotional love tanks, when your love tank is not full or is empty, you're going to be preoccupied with your home business, and you'll forget the other the other parts. Just like the child who won't play or won't accept any amelioration whatsoever from any other person, and unless the mother shows up again, we will be like that child and engaging in protest behavior. So yeah, a love chunk is if you know how to drive a car, or if you know how to use any vehicle really, or any machine which uses fuel, even phones like this, you need to charge your phone in order to use it. So if if there is no charge on your phone, you can't use your phone. So your phone or your tank is like just the car tank. So the person you love is mainly responsible for providing the sense of belonging and the sense of love. You cannot do it yourself. Those people, those independent women, independent men out there, you cannot really love yourself to a sufficient level. There's usually this theory that if you shout enough times that I'm beautiful, I'm beautiful, if you affirm yourself, if you stand before a mirror and you engage in some voodoo kind of activities, that you're actually great. I think it's called autosuggestion. It came from the book by this famous author. Is it Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, which was found to be, for the most part, spiritualistic. Okay, so you telling yourself that you love yourself the way you are, and somebody else telling you that it's somebody who loves you. The If you weigh that, getting it from another person makes it way easier. Okay, so when our love tank is full, when our love supply is adequate, then we feel loved, we feel like we belong, and only then can we venture out into other activities. So here's now the metaphor of someone having an emotional tank or a love tank. So it goes, I liked the metaphor the first time I heard it. Inside every child is an emotional tank waiting to be filled with love. When a child really feels loved, he will develop normally, but when the love tank is empty, the child will misbehave. Much of the misbehavior of children is motivated by the cravings of an empty love tank. For those of us who've spent time with kids, you know, for the most part, when a child is seeking attention, they're going to do it in somewhat a negative way. They're going to break things and stuff like that, for the most part. And I think that can be prolonged or extrapolated through life itself, so that people who grew up in distress tend to produce more distress in other people. Okay, all the tyrants of old, all the masochists and the sadists, in the most occasion were people who were abused themselves, or who lacked emotional support and all that. Yeah. So we all have, even adults, this one is mainly for kids, even adults, we all have our emotional needs. We all have our love needs. We all want to feel loved. We all want to feel accepted. We all want to feel like we matter to someone, especially in an exclusive way. When that is not met, we are going to, just like children, engage in protest behavior. We're going to come home late. We're going to maybe even cheat on our spouses. For the most part, again, from the books by John Gottman and the wife, people usually cheat in marriage only or mainly after loneliness has set in within marriage, and not as a first principle. People cheat secondarily to feeling lonely, but not as a basic drive. Of course, there are people who are going to cheat because they want to, but for the most part, it is a reaction to loneliness. Okay, so the last paragraph, the need to feel loved by one's spouse is at the heart of marital desires. A man said to me recently, what good is the house, the cars, the place at the beach, or any of the rest of it if your wife doesn't love you? Do you understand what he was really saying? More than anything, more than anything, I want to be loved by my wife. More than anything, I want to be loved by my wife. Material things are no replacement for human emotional love. A wife says he ignores me all day long and then wants to jump in bed with me. I hate it. She's not a wife who hates sex. She's a wife desperately pleading for emotional love. So each of us deep down have a tank within us which needs to be filled. And when that is not addressed, just like the car, it won't start or it won't run for long without falling into problems. Just like children who are not loved by their parents in their love languages primarily are going to misbehave for the most part and engage in criminal activity later in life or even as early in the juvenile ages. So also in the adult scenario, people who are not loved in the love language in the languages they understand best might or usually act in ways to which are detrimental to the relationship. So this was the episode on emotional love tanks or love tanks. So again, we all walk around like children. We all need to feel appreciated. You all need to feel wanted. You all need to feel needed. When that is not met in the way we understand best, in the way we are most fluent, then you're going to feel stifled and cheated and used. Yeah. So we shall do love languages next and something other than this.